The radio in Officer Higgins's cruiser sputtered to life. The dispatcher's voice tight with alarm. Cedar Creek Estates. Pinecrest Avenue address. Caller reports a large, aggressive dog terrorizing the neighborhood and refusing to leave her yard. Higgins raised an eyebrow at his partner, Officer Gallagher, who smirked and shook his head. Another Susan versus dog episode in the land of perfectly trimmed hedges. They expected chaos when they rolled up, maybe a lunging pit bull or a barking mastiff. Instead, they found a statuesque German shepherd planted like a statue in the middle of the manicured lawn, staring with laser focus at a small shed tucked behind. Susan Sterling's pristine colonial. The dog didn't twitch, didn't growl. He simply watched the shed the way he used to watch warehouse doors back when he wore a badge. My name is Jack Reynolds. That German shepherd is Ranger, my partner of 15 years and the best canine this side of the Mississippi. 3 months ago, I hung up my own badge, cashed my pension, and moved us into Cedar Creek Estate. It's looking for quiet streets and zero drama. I should have known better. Drama here wears yoga pants and carries a clipboard. Susan Sterling, self-appointed Empress of the HOA, took one look at Ranger and decided he was a walking violation of every rule she'd ever invented. Me. She was on my porch, smile stretched so thin it could slice bread. My, what a big dog for our little community, Mr. Reynolds. I do hope you've read Section 14B of the Covenants. Leashes, muzzles, decibel limits, the whole song and dance. I showed her Ranger's service papers, his commendation, and the citation from the mayor for finding that missing 6-year-old. She glanced at them the way she'd glance at junk mail, then tapped her pen against her board. Rules are rules, even for heroes. After that, the complaints poured in like clockwork. Ranger barked at 8:03 p.m. He didn't. Ranger intimidated little Emily. Emily had actually been feeding him treats. Ranger's mere existence lowered property values. Every other day, Susan materialized at my door, lips pursed, documenting imaginary offenses with the fervor of a war correspondent. Then Ranger started acting strangely on our walks. He'd slow in front of Susan's house, head high, nostrils flaring, the same posture he used to get right before we kicked in a door and found 50 kilos of heroin. I figured he smelled her spoiled cat, mittens, and tugged him along. But every morning, the pull grew stronger, the focus sharper. Word around the neighborhood barbecue pit was that things had been disappearing for months. Bikes, lawnmowers, patio heaters, even Mrs. Gable's heirloom birdbath. Thousands of dollars gone. Police reports filed, nothing ever recovered. Everyone grumbled, and nobody had answers. Until that Tuesday morning, Ranger and I were halfway down Pinecrest when his body went rigid, hackles half raised, every muscle locked. For the first time in his life, he ignored my heel command and shot forward like he'd been fired from a cannon. I jogged after him, shouting his name, heart-hammering. He blew past Susan's picket fence, rounded the corner, and slammed to a perfect sit in front of her shed, nose aimed dead center at the padlocked door. Passive alert. The same alert that once netted us a fugitive hiding in an attic. Another time, a kidnapped teenager locked in a storage unit. Susan burst onto her deck in a peach robe and fury. Get that monster off my property this instant. I'm calling 911. This is trespassing. This is harassment. She waved her phone like a weapon, while Ranger sat calm as a statue. Eyes never leaving that shed door, telling me louder than any bark ever could. Whatever had Avery and Cedar Creek had lost, it was all just got found. Your vicious animal is completely out of control. Susan screeched, clutching her robe like a shield. I kept my voice steady and called Ranger back to heel. He obeyed, but slowly, throwing one last meaningful glance at the shed. Susan, I'm sorry for the intrusion. Ranger's never broken position like this in his life, but when he alerts that way, passive, dead certain, it means he's found something worth finding. Her face darkened to an alarming shade of plum. Are you threatening me? Are you accusing me of hiding drugs or bodies or whatever it is your mutt thinks he smells? I'll have that dog seized and euthanized before sundown. The 911 call she made right there on the deck was Oscar-worthy. Through the open air, I heard every embellishment. Ranger lunging at her, snarling, trying to claw through the shed door. Me deliberately sixing him on her private property like some vigilante. I just stood there, hand resting lightly on Ranger's collar, waiting. Good dogs and good evidence have a way of winning in the end. Higgins and Gallagher rolled up fast, lights flashing but no siren standard for animal calls that might turn ugly. They approached with hands hovering near holsters, eyes scanning for danger. One look at Ranger, sitting statue still beside M.E., and their shoulders dropped a notch. "Officers," I said evenly. "Jack Reynolds, retired Canine Sergeant. Westridge PD. This is Ranger, my old partner. 15 years on the job, not a single false alert. He's telling us there's something important in that shed." Susan exploded again. "I don't care if he used to sniff out bin Laden. This is my property. That beast is trespassing." Gallagher lifted a calm hand. "Ma'am, we're going to need to take a look inside the shed. Over my dead body, you need a warrant. I know my rights. I'll sue every one of you for harassment." That's when Mark strolled over from next door. Phone already extended. "Officers, my backyard camera catches the corner of her yard. You're gonna want to see this." He played the clips right there on the lawn. Night vision footage. A woman in Susan's unmistakable robe hauling a kid's mountain bike toward the shed. Another clip. Susan wrestling with a rolled-up hose reel and a stack of planters. A third showed her dragging 2 teak patio chairs that I recognized as the Gables. Higgins watched without expression, then turned to Susan. "Ma'am? Between this video and the canine alert, we have probable cause. Please open the shed." The change in her was instant and total. The iron-fisted hoe queen deflated like a punctured pool float. "You can't. This is illegal. I'll have your jobs." Her voice cracked, the threats shrinking to whispers. Gallagher was already on the radio requesting backup and bolt cutters. The snap of the lock, breaking, rang out like a judge's gavel. When the door swung wide, even from 20 feet away, the contents were unmistakable. Bikes piled like cordwood, patio sets disassembled and stacked, tools hanging in neat rows, planters, grills wheelbarrows, everything. The neighborhood had reported missing for half a year, but the real kicker was the pegboard on the far wall. Dozens of labeled keys dangling from hooks, huge tag written in Susan's precise cursive house numbers, garage side doors, huge codes, master keys to half the subdivision. Higgins let out a low whistle. "Well, damn." The cuffs went on with that satisfying metallic click. "It's not what you think," Susan babbled as Gallagher recited her rights. "I was holding these items for safekeeping. People are so careless, leaving expensive things out where anyone could take them. A show of precedent, and it was my duty to secure them until—" Her excuses grew wilder with every step toward the cruiser. The crowd of neighbors that had gathered onto sidewalks watched in stunned silence as their petty tyrant was folded into the back seat, still protesting through the window. Only when the cruiser pulled away did Ranger's tail start thumping a slow, satisfied rhythm against my leg. "Job well done, old friend." The stories came flooding out after that. Years of arbitrary fines, threats of liens over unapproved paint colors, and inspections scheduled to catch people at work. Everyone had suffered under Susan's rule, but nobody had imagined she'd been robbing them blind the whole time. The full investigation tallied over $50,000 in stolen property. She was charged with multiple counts of burglary, receiving stolen goods, and trespass. At arraignment, Judge Miller set bail at $100,000 and noted the maximum sentence could reach 15 years. Susan's final shrink, 15 years, echoed through the courtroom as deputies led her away. Her little empire of clipboards and covenants reduced to nothing but handcuffs and a jumpsuit.